You know, a lot of the Psalms are very prophetic in nature, and many people don't realize that some of the Psalms point to the Messiah coming and ruling and reigning over all the earth. And it describes the condition of the world before the coming of the Messiah. And in Psalm 46, in the Stones edition of the Tanakh, it says, God is a refuge and strength for us, a help in distress, very accessible. That's very comforting to know that God is accessible. The gods of other religions are distant, disconnected with humanity. You serve them, but you have no way to know if you're pleasing them, and you have no way to have a personal and intimate relationship with them. But it says here, God is a refuge and a strength for us, a help in distress, very accessible. Therefore, we shall not be afraid when the earth is transformed and at mountains collapses in the hearts of the sea. When its waters rage and are muddied, mountains quake in his majesty. Selah. So it's talking about earth-shattering events. It's alluding to earth-shattering events, and I think it's alluding not just physically, the physical change of the environment, but the political state and the political status of the world. Just as we remember in Matthew 24, it talks about there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. And it talks about all the distressing things that are going to be coming before the end. But these are just road signs and markers and signals that, yes, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And when you see it getting worse, then you know that the coming of the Messiah is very near. To read the beginning of this psalm and not understanding the context, it can seem pretty frightening and comforting at the same time, because it says, God is a refuge and a strength for us, a help in distress, very accessible. But then the next verse it says, therefore we shall not be afraid when the earth is transformed and at mountains collapse in the heart of the sea. Just seeing these things, you think of earthquakes and tsunamis, and you just think of natural catastrophes and maybe even meteor strikes or whatever. Just the wording of this verse is just so dramatic, and you just think, wow, what if this physically did happen? That would be such a frightening sight to see, and nothing is more unsettling than an earthquake. When the most firmest thing you can think of, the most unmovable thing you can think of, which is the earth, and it actually, the foundations under your feet are not even stable. There's no place to hide from an earthquake. But it says, God is a refuge and a strength for us, a help in distress, very accessible. And that is so comforting, because when we watch the news, we're just seeing such frightening things come from the scientific and technological world. Issues of transhumanism and genetics and DNA and just all the things that they're trying to do, and the privacy that's being stripped and taken away from us because of spy tech and technology in that realm. And then just all the political upheaval and the things that you hear on the news, and you really don't know which news agency that you could trust, who's being the spin doctors, and if what they're saying is really true. And you just think, wow, this is just so insane, and so many kidnappings and murders, and just when you think that humanity can't get any worse, you hear another story that shocks you. But again, this all must come to pass before the Messiah comes. And just remember that no matter how dark and dank and troublesome, it was predicted in Matthew 24, and it says, God is a refuge and a strength for us, a help in distress, very accessible. He's there for us. We can go to him. We can go to him. He will take us in. He will shield us. He will protect us. He will keep us. He will guide us and direct us during these dark, trying, and confusing times. Even the commentator of this Jewish translation says, in the upheavals of the Messianic era, God will shield Israel, and he shields all distraught people who seek his support. So in other words, no matter how bad it gets, the good guys win. The good guys are going to be protected, and the good guys are going to be coming out on top, because you know how bad it gets? That is just one way of evil destroying itself. It will feed upon itself and destroy itself. So don't worry. Don't worry about all the bad news, because in the bad news, God is a refuge and a strength for us, a help in distress, very accessible. We can go to Him day or night and count and depend on Him, even when the mountains and the earth is shaking and falling down around our ears. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Go out there and have a great day. God bless.
Thanks for watching. Stay connected by subscribing to our other social media accounts and visiting our website at abrahamsdescendants.com. abrahamsdescendants.com, getting back to the 1st century in a 21st century way.